What's up, party people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 149 and season 5, episode 11 of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony coming back at you for the 149th time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow lowlifes, scoundrels, hoodlums, scumbags, shady characters, heathens, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, wise guys, people that give themselves nicknames and speak in the third person, unacceptable. Foul-mouthed, raging alcoholics, MLB players that have got into a fight with Bryce Harper, you know who you are. Cheats, disasters that take pride in a $4 profit on the WNBA, also unacceptable. You can't even call that a profit. Gangsters, fienders with abusive language, and degenerates. I mean, let's face it, anybody with a massive gambling problem. If you're new to the show, hey, congratulations, you probably fit into one or a few of those categories. So welcome, because you're now one of us. One of us, one of us, one of us, gooba gobble, one of us. We accepted one of us. Sorry, sometimes I get a little carried away. Hey, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down here in the lower right-hand corner. Ring that bell so you can get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word is also very easy. Just tell other degenerates and scumbags you know, Josh G, to go to YouTube and enter Thoughts and Hunches in the search bar. That'll take you directly to my page so you can get dialed into everything that I give you. Also, if you're new and you don't know what's what with this channel, it's college and pro football winners, MLB playoff winners, and college basketball winners. The books don't expect a guy like me to deliver this many winners. I'm an outlier and I'm a disruptor. I'm like the Beastie Boys. I disrupt.
Step inside the party, disrupt the whole scene.
That's exactly what I do, right? I go to the mattresses and I get the info for you every week in order to get you to the window with a ticket to cash. Yes, the window, not the kiosk, but the window. Now, before I get to the picks, as usual, I have some thoughts.
Give me all you got. Listen, give me all you got.
That never gets old. Quick programming note. With the World Series ending soon, that means college hoops are here, and they tip off on Monday night. As of the time of this recording, there are only 2 numbers that have been posted for Monday night's games, and there's a whole list of games. So the numbers just haven't been posted yet. Now, I can't give them to you yet. So by this weekend, the numbers for Monday's game will be up. So starting Monday, I will be posting my picks daily in the comments section of this video. Lots of games in college hoops every single night. College has always been my forte, so now's the time to just go off and post nearly 100 picks per week into December once bowl season starts. I have to start with the World Series. Freddie Freeman's walk-off grand slam in Game 1 literally made me sick to my stomach, and the World Series was over immediately. The Yankees have no heart. Their pitching is awful, and those are the good things about them. Aaron Judge is beyond laughable. He's obviously a head case and clearly doesn't give a shit and can relax with the $360 million the Yankees are paying him to be arguably the biggest bust in baseball history in October. Players struggle in October, all right? I get that. I absolutely understand that, right? But this is a new definition of struggling.
Struggling.
Yeah. Say that again, Joe. Come on.
Struggling.
Oh, keep it going.
Struggling.
Attaboy, Joe. Plus, he has the benefit of playing in that joke of a Cracker Jack ballpark. No wonder he hits so many regular season homers when he plays there 81 times a year. And another reason not to like him is eye black at night. Really? 8 p.m. start time and he's got eye black on. Maybe the eye black's getting in his eyes and he can't see. I don't understand it. Then there's Aaron Boone. Game 1, Garrett Cole is dealing and has the Dodgers tied up in knots. But after only 88 pitches, the analytics take over and they tell you to remove him from the game. It costs you not only the game because you had to bring your closer in an inning earlier than you would have liked, but also the series because the series is over. You're paying your horse $320 million to deliver in October, and that's exactly what he was doing before you decided to pull him after only 88 pitches. It's just pathetic how quickly the Yankees laid down. I've never heard the boogie down so quiet in October. Sure, they won last night, and Judge didn't make an ass out of himself, but the Dodgers will end this quickly. Let's not kid ourselves. Next up, I have to get after a few quarterbacks in the NFL. Massage Watson is the first one, and his career is basically over, right? He's been awful, and now he's done for the season. Without him, famous Jameis Winston led the Browns to a massive upset win over Baltimore on Sunday. Watson will be healthy next year and will get a shot, but Cleveland is screwed with his contract. And if they were smart, they won't double down on their mistake. You don't double down on your mistake. You give him his money and make him go away. Next up is Anthony Richardson of the Colts. Drafted 4th overall 2 years ago, injuries ruined his rookie year, and he's just been awful this year. Sure, he's had more injuries, but the topper was last week when Richardson literally tapped out of a game. Right? I got to get out. He tapped out. Who does that? I just don't get it. Right? He tapped out of a game saying he was tired from running around. Good night, Anthony. He has now been benched by head coach Shane Steichen and replaced by Joe Flacco. Cut him immediately and never allow him back, Indy. All right? And finally, the guy I hate talking about deserves to be talked about, and that's Aaron Rodgers, ESPN's favorite person in the world. One of the worst quarterbacks in the league, Rodgers hit rock bottom on Sunday with a loss to the woeful Patriots, who now have as many wins as Rodgers' Jets. He's old, he can't move, he can't throw the ball downfield, and most importantly, he can't win. But ESPN continues to treat this guy like he's the greatest. Jets were supposed to win the Super Bowl this year with Rodgers, right? Well, since that shit ain't happening, here's now a third team that I just talked about that needs to cut bait and move on. He's held the Jets hostage now. The Jets have bent over backwards in appeasing him by bringing in his offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, right? Who's since been demoted. They brought in Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams. Why? Because Rodgers wanted them. And then they fired Robert Saleh, head coach, because Rodgers couldn't get along with him. What a dick. I mean, at least he gets his weekly knob job from Pat McAfee, though, right? That has to count for something. No, he's a disaster. Pure and simple. Now, I could go in on Dak Prescott, too, but I'll save that for a rant on the whole Cowboy organization next week. Now, let's move on to Stoney's NCAA Top 12 rankings. I'll do this every week until the final 12 are selected. These are based on current AP rankings and what I've seen on the field. So some teams may have higher rankings than others based on who they've beaten. And my number one rule is that undefeated teams are always ranked higher than 1 or 2 lost teams. It's just the way it goes. I'll start at the top with Oregon as they continue to roll through the Big Ten. Number 2 is Penn State. They keep on winning, but they got their biggest game of the year this Saturday. Number 3 is BYU, and that's just undeniable as they continue to win and cover. Number 4 is Iowa State, whose schedule has been soft, but 7-0 can't be denied. Number 5 is Miami with a bad defense, but an offense that can score on anyone and nobody on their schedule that they should lose to up until the ACC championship. Indiana's 6th, because they keep rolling despite a significant lack of respect from the national media. Number 7's Pitt. Their schedule is somehow softer than Miami's. I didn't think that was possible. Number 8 is Army, because 7-0 is exactly that, 7-0. Now we get to the one-loss teams. Number 9 is Georgia, because I believe they're the best one-loss team in the country. Ohio State is 10th. They might be 9B and Georgia's 9A. And I really want to see Ohio State and Georgia meet in a playoff, right? But OSU's got a must-win this Saturday in Happy Valley. They can't afford that second loss. Number 11 is Texas, who will lose again, despite their very fortunate SEC schedule. And number 12 is Tennessee, who I put just above Notre Dame. Okay? Argue all you want, but I don't give a shit. I know college football, and that's what I've seen so far. Look out for my new list next week, as we got a few big games coming up this weekend, and there will be more losses of the unbeatens. As for the week that was, let me start by saying again, like I've said before, some lines move, and my picks move as a result, right? If I tell you on Wednesday to take a game and that number moves more than 2 points, there's a good chance I'm changing my pick come Saturday or Sunday, right? Case in point, there were 2 NFL games on Sunday that moved a lot. I gave you Baltimore at 9, but it closed at 7. I gave you Carolina at 8.5, and that one closed at 12.5, which was just insane. And I also gave you Chicago at 1.5, and it closed at Washington 1.5 for a 3-point swing. I mean, some of my picks were changed on Saturday night or Sunday morning when I placed the bets. If you're ever curious about a big line movement, reach out. I'll be glad to let you know which side I'm on. Also, when thinking about how big my week was, you have to take into consideration the sheer number of wins in which we sprinkled on the money line. Because I did a lot last week, and I hit most of them. Now, that's a stat I really need to start keeping track of, because that's not just a win. That's like a win and a half, or almost 2, right? NCAA football, I missed on Thursday night and went 2-1 on Friday to even me up, heading into Saturday, where I just dismantled everybody and dropped the biggest hammer of the season. A massive 16-5 Saturday, including a winner on the Degenerate Special, put us in a great position heading into NFL Sunday, where it was a battle. But after an up and down day, a hit on Sunday night had me 9-6, and after missing on Monday night, I had to settle for 10-7 in the NFL for the week. Even with another brutal stretch of the World Series, my week was made, and it was absolutely huge. Here are the updated numbers. Last week, 31 wins, 18 losses, 63.26%. Top notch. I mean, come on, forget about it. NCAA football regular season, 115 wins, 78 losses, 1 push, 59.58%. That's a 2-point bump from last week, thanks to 18-7 overall, closing in on 60% on the season. NFL regular season, 72 wins, 53 losses, 5 pushes, 57.6%. That's solid. MLB playoffs, 48 wins, 51 losses, 48.48%. Those numbers are really bringing down my overall percentage. But overall, all 10 weeks, every single pick I've given you in all 10 Stoniecast this season, 235 wins, 182 losses, 6 pushes, 56.35%. That's a full percentage point up on the season. I mean, it doesn't get any, it does get better than that, but that's pretty damn solid. Teddy?
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Sometimes you got to. Now remember, all of these picks are 100% free. So for all the touts out there that are giving you 75 to 80% winners, come on. All right? We all know you're full of shit. Plus, you're charging for these picks.
Oh!
Yeah. How does that happen? Right? It just doesn't, don't just come to YouTube every week and I'll drop my plays on you for free, right? I'm not going to charge you anything, right? Although, you have a big week like I did last week, little 5% kickback wouldn't suck. Thanks, Stony. Has anybody ever hit an 11-team parlay that paid 3-1? Has anyone ever heard of that? Well, it happened last week with an ass clown who advertises that he hit an 11-teamer. It paid a whopping $15. Really? I joke about taking massive money line favorites and ask at the end of each podcast, do you want to win or do you want to make money? This moron obviously has no desire to make money, but he does want to brag that he hit. Okay, now, after hitting both sides of Game 4 of the series last night with the Yankees on the run line and the over, a 2-0 start to the week is nice, which is nice, and rare, especially with how I've struggled the last couple weeks in the MLB. But here we go. Off we go. Episode 11. Let's start it all off tonight in the Boogie Down Bronx at 8 Eastern on Fox with Game 5 of the World Series and the Dodgers leading 3-1. The pitching matchup's a rematch from Game 1 with Jack Flaherty for La La Land and Garrett Cole for the Yankees. The Yanks can't think of Game 6 or 7 right now, and they literally have to take them one inning or one batter at a time. If they do get the win tonight, take tomorrow off to fly to La La Land, and anything is possible, right? Last night's offensive output was rare in that Soto, Judge, and Stanton weren't the big bats. Instead, it was Volpe, Torres, and Wells who broke out. But you can't expect the bottom third of your lineup to go off again, right? While Aaron Boone is hoping that his bats coming alive last night will carry over to tonight, Garrett Cole is still the story. Flaherty is nice for the Dodgers, but Cole is the man. Last game of the season in the Boogie Down, I got to think the Yanks take this one and at least send it back to La La Land where the Dodgers will ultimately win. Yankees on the run line tonight at plus 140 and over 8.5. Those are the plays. Excuse me a second. Joe Biden, garbage. He called half the American public garbage. Wow. What's worse, that or calling an island of Puerto Rico garbage? I don't know. Either way. All right, you ready? After hitting last Thursday night NFL matchup with the Rams plus 3 and a sprinkle on the money line.
Hoo-ah!
Yep, that happened. Right? You're welcome, by the way. I'm now back to even at 4-1 on the season on Thursday nights. Let's hit tomorrow night on Stonieween at 8:15 Eastern on Amazon at Snoopyville in New Jersey, where the 2-6 Jets are a 2-point favorite versus 6-2 Houston, and the total's 42.5. There are fishy numbers, and then there are traps. This one is clearly the latter. Really, the Jets are favored. I don't care if Stephon Diggs is out, but Houston should be at least -5 on the road. This just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, I'm nuts, because if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then the odds are it's a freaking duck. Give me the Jets -2. On Friday night NCAA for the season, I'm now 14-7 after last week's 2-1. So let's move on to Friday night at 8 Eastern on FS1 at Albertson Stadium in Boise. The 15th ranked Broncos of Boise State, 23.5-point home chalk versus 3-4 San Diego State, and the total's 56.5. Last week, I won with both of these schools.
Hoo-ah!
Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. Boise's schedule going forward is very soft, and they should not lose again until the Mountain West Championship game. Thus, the big number. Too big of a number if you ask me, though. Boise wins easily on the Smurf turf, but San Diego gets the cover. Moving on to Saturday. Let's get it all started in the ACC at noon Eastern on ABC at Hard Rock Stadium in Bienvenidos a Miami. The 5th-ranked Hurricanes are 20.5-point home chalk versus 6-2 Duke, and the total's 54.5. Miami will be unbeaten until their ACC championship game, and they hit for me last week. You're welcome.
Hoo-ah!
Yeah, they did. It depends on when you got that line, but I covered by the hook. Some people lost by the hook. Some people pushed, but I won that one by the hook. You're welcome. But Duke is dangerous. Duke won't win this game, but Duke tickets will cash. Duke plus 20.5. Noon Eastern on the CW network at the Dome in Syracuse. 5-3 Virginia Tech is a 4-point road favorite at 5-2 Syracuse, and the total's 53.5. Vatech was another one of my many winners last week.
Hoo-ah!
Yeah, they just keep coming.
Hoo-ah!
You know, that's what happens. Hoo-ah. Give me a couple more, Al.
Hoo-ah!
Get your lip.
They just keep coming.
Hoo-ah!
Hoo-ah.
Hoo-ah!
Attaboy, Al. Thank you, and you're welcome. Shit, I could do this all day, literally, counting all my wins. right? A true contrast to styles here is Virginia Tech will run it and Syracuse will air it out. I like the running team and the hotter team. Va Tech -4. Noon Eastern on FS1 at Memorial Stadium in Champaign. 5-3 Minnesota's a 3-point road favorite at number 24 Illinois, and the total set at 45.5. Minnesota's heating up now, having won 3 straight. And Illinois' only 2 losses this season were at Penn State and at Oregon last week. That's a pretty damn good resume. This one's back home in Champaign, and I'm on the Illini here, catching 3 at home with a sprinkle on the money line.
Sprinkle me, my nickel.
Attaboy, 40. Tell them. Noon Eastern, the game of the day is on Big Fox, Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley, where number 4 Ohio State is a 3.5-point road favorite at third-ranked Penn State, and the total's 46.5. Drew Aller's banged up for Penn State, the quarterback. He's going to give it a go, but who knows? This one's easy for me because I've been saying for years on these podcasts that Penn State beats everyone except Michigan and Ohio State. Well, this is Ohio State. So that continues this Saturday. Buckeyes -3.5. Noon Eastern on ESPN at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. We get Saturdays in the South going with the 3 Fs. Faith, family, and football. 19th ranked Ole Miss is a 7-point road favorite at 5-3 Arkansas, and the total's 53.5. Mississippi's only 2 losses were by a field goal each to Kentucky and LSU. Arkansas has had their moments, but they've had their issues as well, all right? I like Ole Miss, but I just don't trust them. Can't trust them. Shout out Public Enemy, Flava Flav. Can't trust it.
Can't trust it. Can't trust it.
Yeah, something like that. You just can't trust them, right? Give me Arkansas catching 7 at home. Home dog in conference. 12:45 Eastern on SEC Network on the Plains in Auburn. The 3-5 Tigers are a 6.5-point home favorite versus 5-3 Vanderbilt, and the total's 48.5. Yeah, I hit on both of these 2 schools last Saturday as well.
Hoo-ah.
Yep. I mean, literally all day long. Winners on college, right? You're welcome. Auburn snapped their 4-game losing streak with a win at Kentucky, while Vandy gave Texas all they could handle in a hard-fought loss, but a ticket casher nonetheless, right? Not sold on Auburn and don't understand this line. Commodores +6.5. Give me that candy. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames. 11th ranked Iowa State is a 14.5-point home favorite versus 5-3 Texas Tech, and the total's 56.5. The Cyclones continue to run roughshod through the Big 12 with their undefeated record. But Tech has been dangerous all year, right? All season long. Sure, they lost a heartbreaker last week, but they still covered, and I had them.
Hoo-ah.
That's right, Al. I covered, and one of my many. You're welcome. Cyclones win easily, but Tech gets the cover, +14.5. 3:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. 5-3 Nebraska, 6.5-point home chalk versus 2-5 UCLA, and the total's 40.5. You don't see many lines like that in college football unless you're playing Iowa. Nebraska rebounded from their blowout loss at Indiana by giving Ohio State all they could handle before coming up short. And UCLA has been losing, but they've been covering numbers all season long by hanging around. Attaboy, Teddy. And they're coming off a bye, too. Bruins, +6.5. 3:30 Eastern on Peacock at Spartan Stadium in East Lansing. 13th ranked Indiana's a 7.5-point road favorite at 4-4 Michigan State, and the total's 50.5. Yeah, Michigan State beat Iowa 2 weeks ago, but have lost 4 of 5 and haven't covered in any of those losses, right? Indiana's rolling right now. Give me Who's Your Daddy -7.5 on the road. 3:30 Eastern, we get a great rivalry game in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party on ABC at Everbank Stadium in Duval County. as number 2 Georgia's a 16.5-point favorite versus 4-3 Florida, and the total's 52.5. Both schools had last week off, and Florida has been surprisingly good lately, covering 4 straight. But that all ends here. The Bulldog defense is ferocious. Georgia rolls. So go ahead and lay the 16.5, even if it is in a rivalry. 7 Eastern on FS1 at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater. 5-2 Arizona State is a 3-point road favorite at 3-5 Oklahoma State, and the total's 57.5. Zona State has played hard in their first year in the Big 12. Remember when Oklahoma State was 3-0? Yeah, I don't either. Give me ASU on the road laying the field goal. 7:30 Eastern on ESPN at Memorial Stadium in Death Valley. Number 11 Clemson is 11-point home favorites over 5-3 Louisville, and the total 61.5. Clemson's rolling right now and on a collision course with Miami for the ACC championship. But Louisville has played well. They really have, especially the last 3 weeks. Clemson wins, but Louisville gets the cover, catching 11. 7:30 Eastern on NBC at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Stop and wave to the children at the hospital. 5-3 Iowa is a 3-point home chalk versus 5-3 Wisconsin, and the total's 41.5. Both schools are okay, but both have issues also. I'm going to back off the side here and take over 41.5 because Wisconsin will score. 7:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network at Husky Stadium in Seatown. 4-4 Southern Cal's a 2.5-point road favorite at 4-4 Washington, and the total's 55.5. The Huskies had a rough 2-game trip. They really did, right? With losses in Bloomington and Iowa City. While SC has lost 3 straight on the road. Huskies plus 2.5 with a sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, Mike. Sprinkle me.
Attaboy, Earl. Way to tell him. 7:30 Eastern on ABC at Willie Bryce in Columbia. 10th ranked Texas A&M's a 2.5-point road favorite at 4-3 South Carolina, and the total's 44.5. A&M's season opening home loss to Notre Dame is long forgotten, as the Aggies have ripped off 7 straight since then. South Carolina went through the ringer of the SEC and has 3 winnable games coming up. You know what? Make that 4. Upset city here. South Carolina plus 2.5 with a sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, Mike.
Attaboy, Earl. Keep them coming. 7:45 Eastern on SEC Network at Neyland Stadium on Rocky Top. It's number 7 Tennessee is a 15.5-point home favorite versus 3-5 Kentucky, and the total is 45.5. The Vols rebounded from their disappointing loss at Arkansas to begin October by knocking off 2 hated rivals in Alabama and Florida, while UK has dropped 3 straight as their offense has just been non-existent. That's not a good sign against this Tennessee defense, which is carrying them right now. Tennessee's bye last week is just what they needed. Vols roll and pull away. UT minus 15.5. After hitting last week's degenerate special.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. Well, hold on. What was that, Al?
Hoo-ah!
Yeah, something like that. You're welcome, by the way. I'm now 5-4-1 on the late night get right. So this week's version goes early at 8 Eastern. That's the late night get right at 8 Eastern on ACC Network at Gerald J. Ford Stadium in Big D, where 20th ranked Southern Methodist is 7.5-point home favorites versus number 18 Pittsburgh, and the total's 59.5 in a good matchup between 2 pretty good ACC teams. The only school in the ACC with a softer schedule than these 2 is Miami. So yeah, Pitt is 7-0, but they haven't beaten anyone worth anything, while SMU's lone loss was to BYU over a month ago. Pitt falls from the ranks of the unbeaten as SMU takes them out fairly easy. SMU minus 7.5 to close out another busy Saturday. That's 17 picks for Saturday and 1 on Friday for only 18. Now let's move on to NFL Sunday, Week 9, and it's after everyone gets an extra hour of sleep with daylight savings time, except for a few states. We'll start it all at 1 Eastern on Fox at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Hotlanta, where 5-3 Falcons are 2.5-point home favorites versus the 3-4 Cowboys, and the total set at 52. I'm not sold on the Falcons. I'm just not. But the Cowboys are a train wreck with their horrible defense. Dallas plus 2.5 against the team without a pass rush has to be the play here, even though it's in hot down, right? With the sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
Dallas plus 2.5 and the money line. Sprinkle. And hey, while we're at it, let's make 3 picks in one game. Let's go all in. Double down, triple down by hitting on over 52 in a game where the Cowboys are going to score 30 by themselves. 1 Eastern on CBS at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. The 6-2 Bills are 6-point home chalk versus 2-5 Miami, and the total's 49.5. Buffalo's won 3 straight, and their only 2 losses were to Baltimore and Houston. The Bills beat who they're supposed to beat. They do. They're supposed to beat the Dolphins, and they will. But Miami gets the cover, plus 7, Dolphins. 1 Eastern on Fox at the Jungle in the Queen City. 3-5 Cincinnati is 7.5-point home favorites versus the 2-6 Raiders, and the total's 45. Cincy blew their chance to win 3 straight by getting blown out at home in the second half last week to Philly, and the Raiders have lost 4 straight. Bengals win, but aren't good enough to cover that number. Big number. Raiders plus 7 and a chunk. 1 Eastern on CBS at the Dog Pound in Cleveland. The 4-3 Chargers are 2-point road favorites at the 2-6 Browns, and the total's 42.5. The Chargers are as unpredictable as ever, and they're just being the Chargers. And the Browns got a shot in the ass last week from former starting quarterback and, washout, but famous Jameis, right? He led them last week's stunner over Baltimore. Cleveland is a reverse turf home underdog, in which there weren't any last week. So they're still 11-9 on the season. But in the meantime, give me the Brownies at home catching 2.5 with a sprinkle.
Big time.
In the past, I call it.
Okay, sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle me, man. The damn YouTube commercials. 1 Eastern on FX, on Fox, on Big Fox. Nissan Stadium, right up the road here in Music City, USA. We got a Super Bowl preview as the 1-6 Titans are 3-point home favorites versus 2-6 New England, and the total's 38. Welcome to the modern NFL, where every week there are 4 or 5 games in which I'd rather be pregnant than watch. Just god-awful football being played by a lot of teams. Titans -3 of the play because the Pats will not repeat last Sunday's performance. 1 Eastern on Fox at Snoopyville in New Jersey. 6-2 Washington's a 3.5-point road favorite at the 2-5 Giants, and the total's 43. Yeah, Washington luckily beat the Bears last week with the Hail Mary after doing everything in their power to lose, and are now 6-2. The Giants were on a short week, but the G-Men are a reverse turf home dog. Giants plus 3.5. If you want to do a little sprinkle, that's fine, but 3.5 is a stretch. I'm going to do it. I'm not telling you to, but go ahead. 1 Eastern on CBS at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. The 2-6 Saints are 7-point road favorites at the 1-7 Panthers, and the total set at 45 in another game chock full of playoff implications. I mean, come on, right? 2-6 versus 1. Oh, jeez, I just can't do it. They're a combined 3-13. Both have lost 6 in a row. Enough said. Panthers plus 7 at home. 1 Eastern on CBS at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. The 5-3 Ravens are 9-point home favorites over the 5-3 Broncos, and the total's 44.5. Baltimore's 4-game win streak came to a crashing halt after losing in Cleveland on Sunday, while Denver's quietly won 4 out of 5, but they've beaten the worst teams in the NFL during that stretch. Ravens are angry. King Henry goes off and Baltimore rolls. Ravens -9. 4 Eastern on CBS at the Link in Stoniecast. The 5-2 Eagles are 7.5-point home chalk versus 2-6 Jacksonville, and the total's 45.5. Philly has quietly won 3 straight, while Jayville has quietly covered 2 straight. Yeah, the Jags' pass defense is atrocious, but I don't give a shit. That's too many points for an inconsistent team like the Eagles. Give me Jacksonville plus 7 and a hook. 4 Eastern on CBS at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. 4-4 Arizona is a 1-point home favorite versus 4-3 Chicago, and the total's 44.5. Yeah, the Bears were beaten by a Hail Mary, but they absolutely 100% deserve to lose that game. That was one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen by Matt Eberflus. Nobody thought Kyler Murray could win 2 in a row. Well, he has. Now he's going to win 3 in a row as the Cards take out the Bears in the Valley of the Sun. 4:25 Eastern on Fox at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The game of the weekend has 6-1 Lions as 3-point road favorites at the 6-2 Packers, and the total's 47.5. Detroit's won 5 straight, while Green Bay's won 4 straight, in a game featuring arguably the 2 best teams in the NFC. Detroit, and especially Jared Goff, aren't the same on grass. This is the first outdoor game of the season for Detroit, and the Pack are reverse turf home dog. Give me the Pack +3 with a sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle me, man. 4:25 Eastern on Fox at Lumen Field in Seatown. The 3-4 Rams are 1.5-point road favorite at the 4-4 Seahawks, and the total's 48.5. The Rams have won 2 straight and are trending up, and they have extra rest after beating Minnesota last Thursday, while the Seahawks have dropped 4 or 5, are trending down. Seattle got blown out at home last week by Buffalo. The Rams on extra rest. It's starting to look like a lock. Ram chops -1.5. Last Sunday night, I hit the 49ers.
Hoo-ah!
You're welcome. That's right. Now I'm 5-4 on the season after waiting all day for Sunday night. It's what I do. This Sunday, 8:20 Eastern on NBC at US Bank Stadium in Stoniapolis, where the 5-2 Vikings are 6-point home chalk versus the 4-4 Colts, and the total's 45.5. India's covered 4 of their last 5 and has a knack for keeping things close, while the Vikings have lost 2 straight after starting 5-0. But Minnie has extra rest and are at home regardless of how much of a punk Anthony Richardson is. Vikings -6 to close out Sunday. Monday night, 8:15 Eastern at racially insensitive Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The 7-0 Chiefs are 9-point home favorites over the 4-4 Buccaneers, and the total's 44.5. Chiefs are rolling along, while the Bucs have dropped 3 out of 4 and are banged up. But KC has trouble covering big numbers, just like last week. Another one of my winners. Hoo-ah, you're welcome. Tampa Bay, +9 as Baker goes off. That's 16 NFL plays to go along with 18 college, giving us 34, which doesn't seem like a lot, but let me preface that by saying that with college hoops tipping off on Monday night, I will post daily picks in the comments section, so the number of plays is going to double, probably triple, especially in the first week. Make sure to check back next Wednesday as Stoniecast 150 will be coming out at you. So until then, just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit unless you're a moron. You know who you are. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. The difference between making money and winning is that anyone can win betting chalk. But you can't make money unless you take the dogs. Big difference. Do you want to win or do you want to make money? Figure it out. And don't bug me with your chicken shit text messages. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you. And yeah, Gooch, I still miss you, brother.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.